Hey everybody, my name is Morgan. I'm currently a sophomore and I am studying English. I'm a double major in English Ed and creative writing. With Module 1, I really thought that the crisis leadership article I thought was very interesting. I think it makes a lot of good points about how some people are always looking for somebody to lead them and be a leader. And I feel like now that we have access social media, the news, constantly 24/7, I feel like some people are always looking for somebody to answer the questions they have. And I think that in itself is a double-edged sword, because sometimes you're gonna get truthful or accurate information, and sometimes you're not. And I feel like sometimes that can be very hard to distinguish, especially and people can also look for the answers that they want to hear, and find a leader in that sphere of maybe not truthful or accurate information. And I just think it provides a very interesting perspective on how leadership looks, especially in online spheres in the 21st century. Moving on to the lottery podcast, I think in theory the lottery was very interesting. I was very interested in the podcast. In practice, I don't know if I like the idea as much. While I like that it does give students who might not have felt they had a chance to be a leader and succeed, I think that so much of leadership derives from this place of feeling in control, whether that be from the leader's side of being in control of people or situation, but also from the followers of I chose the leader, and I feel like they have a sense of control in that regard. And I feel like a lottery just sort of strips all of that away, because people aren't really choosing fate or random chances choosing. I thought the Powerball comparison itself was just very interesting, especially considering people that really like the Powerball, gambling addicts, they sort of feed off this thrill of chance. And I don't really know if I want the thrill of chance to decide who my leader is. I think that it's maybe good, but I think it's definitely hard to implement on a very large scale. I think small scale would be fine, especially if it's not low stakes. But I feel like anything on a large scale or high stakes, I would not want my leader chosen up to chance. I think it also asks this question of, is lottery itself an equitable solution? With the Andes Mountain reading, I thought it was very interesting. I think it really asks this question of how does one take control of a situation, especially one that's this extreme, where how do you step up for the people that are alive without feeling responsible for the people that die at the same time. I think that is a very interesting perspective. I also think that the Andes Mountain situation really blurs the line between survival instinct and leadership. How much of it was I need to be a leader, and how much of it was I don't want to die in the mountains. I really think those lines got really blurry, because I feel like they were sort of fighting for both things at the same time. And I also think that leadership is often about making the tough choices, and I feel like a lot of tough choices have been made on the mountains, and I feel like those people have really stepped up, so less people had to die out there. In Module 2, I really thought the whole 6 traits thing was very interesting. But I sort of, while there are 6 traits, I feel like they're not universally applied to every leader, because I feel yeah, you can have the traits, but you're going to express them differently by, on an individual basis. I think that everyone that is a leader in their own sort of way and style. Your way of getting people hyped up is probably different from somebody else's way of getting people hyped up. And while you're both hyping people up, they are expressed differently. And I think that's very interesting, because I think leadership is about your own personal expression of leading. And moving on to the whole 6 important human skills, I thought that article was also very interesting, because I feel like they're all very important. One thing that I would add is, you know, the skill of like compassion and like real empathy, right? I think that AI is getting better at this, especially if you've seen those like AI like character chatbots. I feel like those are getting like really good now. But I feel like it's hard to empathize if you're not like a real person. I feel like you can't connect human to human because like one person's a robot, like an AI. And so I feel like empathy is like a real human skill that like leaders definitely should have and like need to have. For the last reading, I thought the teaching coach was the most, the one that stood out to me because I feel like that's the one I like go to the most. Because I feel like sometimes, you know, like as a leader, I just like need to slow down and like listen to the people that I'm leading. I know I said that sometimes it takes extra time, but I think sometimes you just need the time to like slow down, like really like get to know the people you're leading and like have their input. Because it's like, how are you leading for the people if you're not listening to the people? So, yeah.